Welcome to lesson 1.7, Dilations Part 2. Now you might remember from this star right here that is not required, but you're already here, so you might as well keep on going. And 2, learning's good. The more the merrier, right? Can't hurt. So, for this lesson we're going to be using dilations to map figures onto each other. Now in this case, if you look over here, I want to map triangle ABC onto triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. And clearly I have to use a dilation because the triangle gets bigger, right? Triangle ABC grows, A turns into A prime, B prime, C prime. So I'm going to have to use a dilation here. Now to do this, to map them onto each other using a dilation, you need to identify two key pieces of information: the center of dilation and the scale factor. And I'll show you how to find out both of those. Well, to find the center of dilation, you find where the two objects share a vertex, meaning where is a point that's the same for both of them. So if you look here, C and C prime are not the same. B and B prime are not the same, but A, that is the same for both triangles. It's the same for ABC and A prime, B prime, C prime. So this is our center of dilation, point A. Now the scale factor is exactly what you learned in the last lesson. What you're going to do is count the distance from the center of dilation, which we just identified, to a point on the image. So in this case it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so that is 8 away. And then the distance from the center of dilation to the pre-image. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, how did I know this was the image? Well, this has B prime. And how did I know this is the pre-image? This is just regular B. So the scale factor is going to be 8 over 4, which we can just say equals, well, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So that is our scale factor. Now that you found the center of dilation and the scale factor, you're good to go. But one thing, I just want to say, why didn't I count this way to find the scale factor? Why didn't I go up? Well, it's really hard to count diagonally. See, this straight line was really easy, but you cannot just count across. I can't go 1, 2, 3. You see, it just doesn't fit like that. So you can never go just straight across. So to find the scale factor, try to find the line that goes straight from the center of dilation to a point, the straight line, not the one that goes across. That'll make it way harder. So anyway, once you find the center of dilation, the scale factor, we'll just phrase our sentence like this. To map ABC onto A prime, B prime, C prime, we're going to use a dilation with a scale factor of 2, centered at point A, maps triangle ABC onto A prime, triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. All right, so I just used these two pieces of information: a dilation with a scale factor of 2, which we got right here, centered at point A, maps a triangle ABC onto triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. So remember, this is the important information you need to identify first. So first you figure out these two things, the center of dilation, the scale factor, and then you can write out your sentence. So let's try another one, okay? The first step is to describe a sequence of transformation that maps x, y, z onto x prime, y prime, z prime. We're going to first have to identify the scale factor and the center of dilation. This is what we do first. All right? Now you remember, to find the center of dilation, it's where an angle is the same for both of them. Now if you look, z prime and z are in different places, y prime and y is in different places, but x is in the same place. So that is our center of dilation, point x. Now we got to find our scale factor, which you'll remember from the last lesson. It's just the distance from the center of dilation to the image to the center of dilation to the pre-image. So let's try that out. So the center of dilation to the image is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now how did I know this was the image? Well, that was y prime, and that's y. So anything with the prime is your image. So that's 5. And now let's do the center of dilation to the pre-image. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So that is the pre-image, right? Because that doesn't have a prime. So the scale factor is going to be 5 over 8. Can we reduce this? No, so it's just going to stay like it is. So to describe this transformation, all I'm going to say is it is a dilation with a scale factor of 5 over 8. All right, we figured that out right here. centered at point X, maps triangle XYZ onto triangle X prime, Y prime, X prime, Y prime, Z prime. And once again, I want to point out two things. Since this was a fraction that's less than 1, that explains why our triangle gets smaller. Remember from the last lesson, if our scale factor is less than 1, the triangle actually will get smaller. So that's why it started over here, and then it got smaller, because this is a fraction. The scale factor moved towards the center of dilation. And 2, it doesn't matter which sides you pick, right? Because if it's going straight, you're good to go. So I picked Y and Y prime. I could also have done Z prime and Z. So if you look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the same thing, image over pre-image, you get the same answer. As long as it's straight, okay? All right, let's try one more. Describe a sequence of transformations that maps triangle DBE onto triangle XZY. Now, you'll see here, I can't just do a dilation directly. I'm going to have to do a translation first to get them on top of each other. So the first thing that I'm going to do before I start this, because they don't share a vertex, is I'm going to do a translation of B to Z. All right, and the reason I know B to Z is 1, because they're in the same place, and 2, they're both the bottom right hand corner. So let's do a translation first. I need one vertex to be on top of each other. So first I'm going to do a translation of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so first we're going to start with a translation 7, sorry, why did I say a 7? 11, translation 11 units to the right. All right, 11 units to the right. So when I do that, my triangle will look like this, right? I just move it over, and it's going to be over here. Let's move that on over. Boom. Okay. So it's good for you to just draw that. Move. What happens when you move it? Okay, you should visualize it. For me, I was able to draw it, but here you go. So you just draw it over. So that was our original, and that's what happens when we move it. So E would be here, and D would be here. Now that they're on top of each other, I can figure out what the center of dilation and the scale factor is. So let's start with the center of dilation. What do they have in common? You'll notice here that now they're both on top of this point Z. They share this vertex. So the center of dilation is point Z. And the scale factor is, well, let's see, our image is our bigger triangle right here. This is our image. How do I know it's the image? Because I'm trying to map it onto this triangle, XYZ. So let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is from the center of dilation to our image over 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4. So our scale factor is 6 over 4. And you can reduce that fraction, so that should be 3 over 2. So now we can write our sentence. First, it's a translation, 11 units to the right. Then a dilation, and I'm just using the same sentence from the other one, with a scale factor of 3 over 2, centered at point Z, maps triangle DBE onto triangle XYZ. All right, got that down. All right, so for our second part of this lesson, we're going to be doing dilations without the coordinate plane. And it's the same exact thing. The first thing you do is you find the center of dilation, you find the scale factor, and you throw it into your sentence. All right, so we're going to describe a sequence of transformations that maps triangle BED onto triangle BAC. So the first thing we're going to do is find the center of dilation. And remember, that's where they both share a point. All right, where do my two triangles share a point? Where do these two triangles share a point? Well, it's clear that it's at point B. All right, that is our center of dilation, point B. Now we're going to find out our scale factor. Now, if you notice here, there's no numbers. There's no numbers here. So how am I going to do it? Well, it's actually quite simple. What you're going to do is all you have to do is find, so your center of dilation is B to C. So I'm going to say BC is my center of dilation to the image, and then BD is from the center of dilation to the pre-image. So really all you're going to write here is BC over BD. And you write that because there's no numbers. So my image is BC, that is my image, and this is my pre-image, BD, pre-image. Now it doesn't matter which side you pick. You could have also done it this way, BA over BE, that is our image, and that is our pre-image. As long as you're using the image over the pre-image. So now that I got my information here, I just plug it into my sentence, right? This is a dilation with the scale factor of BC over BD, right? My image is BC over BD, centered at point B, maps triangle BED onto triangle BAC. All right, let's try another one of these. Now, if you notice here, once again, they're not on top of each other. So what I'm going to have to do is a translation to start this off with, right? I'm going to translate this. Now, to translate it, you might remember that I need to pick 2 points and translate along that line. So I'm going to translate along HA. All right, let's translate along HA. So after I translate it, all right, I'm going to do a translation along line HA. That's how I'm going to start off my thing here. This will put them on top of each other. So when I translate it like that, it will look like so, right? This is W, this is H, or A, doesn't matter, Y. After my translation, now I'm going to find my center of dilation, the scale factor. Now I can dilate it. So where do these two share a vertex? Where do they share a side? Well, that's point A, right? They share the point at point A. So the center of dilation is going to be point A. Now I'm going to find the scale factor, which is the image over the pre-image. Well, since I'm mapping onto CAT, that is our image. That's what it's mapping onto. So our image is going to be, let's say, side AT. I'm going to get this out of there for now. So side AT is our image. And then side AY is our pre-image. Pre-image. And once again, because they didn't give us numbers, we're just going to write these two sides over it. So it's going to be the image, which is AT, over the pre-image, which is AY. Okay? And once again, you could have used any side. You could have done AC over AW, but I just chose to use the bottom ones. So first you do a translation along HA, then a dilation with a scale factor of AT over AY, centered at point A, maps triangle WHY onto triangle CAT. So remember, we had to start with the translation so the two triangles were on top of each other before we did our dilation. All right, this is our last one. Now if you look here, the first thing I do, I have to get them on top of each other before I could do my dilation. And I'm going to say this, do not say reflection. You cannot reflect over a point. This has to be a rotation. So the first thing you're going to start off here is doing a rotation. You're going to rotate this around, and when I rotate AEB around, it's going to look like so. B, we got E, we got A, right? Because this rotates to the bottom. So first we're going to do a rotation of 180 degrees, right? That went 180 degrees around, clockwise or counterclockwise. Let's do counterclockwise, doesn't matter with 180, around point E. Now I want to tell you, look, I didn't forget. I said the three most important things: the amount of degrees, the direction, and the point that it rotates around. So first we're going to do a rotation 180 degrees around point E. And then we're going to find our center of dilation and our scale factor. The center of dilation is E, right? They both share point E. And let's find our scale factor. It is going to be CE. All right, so the scale factor is CE over, and that is our image, over EB. Or sorry, BE. And so remember, that's just the distance from our image to the center of dilation to our pre-image to the center of dilation. So CE over BE. You could have used these two. That's your image and that's your pre-image. It doesn't matter. You just pick one. So now that we got our center of dilation and our scale factor, let's just write it out. So this is after a rotation of 180 degrees counterclockwise around point E, we do a dilation, then a dilation with a scale factor of CE over BE, centered at point E, maps triangle AEB onto triangle DEB. All right, guys, that's it. You finished. 1.7, option 11, complete. Now go tell your brother or sister, or if you don't have one, a random person on the street, how much you love them, because love is the best thing you can give. Peace.